Welcome in, welcome in, welcome once again to the newest edition of 3 in, 3 out, the most unique Seahawks recap. It's a recap show in the multiverse. Like I said, I'm traveling today, but I am joined by the one, the only, the great Brandan Schultz, and we are going to recap this game. We're going to do it in 3 in, 3 out style, the only way that we know how to do on 3 in, 3 out, which is to look at the micro moments, the nooks, the crannies, and yes, some of the beautiful part of 3 in, 3 out is that it has a natural coping mechanism built into itself because it is the sober yin, it is the raging yang, it's both sides of the coin. Believe it or not, there was some good here, Brandan. We'll talk about some of the good, but I gotta be honest, it was mostly bad, and I still want to cry a bit. How about you?
That's one thing that I look forward to from 3 in, 3 out. I had someone send me a message today and says, this game deserves 6 outs, is how much I hate this game. And as much as we might want to push everything into the steaming old pile of out, we part of the show is looking at some of the positive points. And on days like this, I think we need it, even if there are only 3. And maybe you change things up and do something silly and only give us 1 or 2, but that's how this show goes sometimes. And I'm crossing my fingers for 3.
Well, I could tell you in the preseason, I pulled some shenanigans like 4 and 2. I want to talk about more positives versus dudes that weren't even going to make the team. We are back to normal programming, 3 ins, 3 outs. We did not get the W, so you know how we cannot begin. There will be no NBC. There is no Brandan. It's just traditional 3 ins and 3 outs. Before we get going, though, Brandan, I did want to macro things, as you and I didn't get to chat since you were at the game yesterday with your mom. In general, to me, and we'll go over some of this, it was like first half misfires on offense, and if we just click a couple of more times, I think this entire game's on a completely different trajectory, like a completely different plane. My sense is that in the stands, you probably felt some of that. Am I making things up in my head, or did it feel that way to you?
No, it felt that way to me, and I think it felt that way to Pete Carroll too, which is why he took the approach that he did probably at halftime to be like, hey, things are going the way they are. We don't really have to make too many different changes because this is going our way. If the Seahawks would have converted on their inside the red zone, score touchdowns instead of field goals, then we're talking about a completely different game, because then it probably gets out of hand relatively early. Sure, the Rams drive down and score early on, but then we answer with multiple scores. Say Jason Myers doesn't miss that field goal, then maybe the Rams are having to play from behind a little bit, and I guess I could talk myself into it, but I still have concerns about the secondary, so I don't even know if I can talk myself into it because the Rams dominated that second half.
They did. I definitely believe there would have been a different game altogether if we had 6s, not 3s early. But we're not going to get into that particular thing, but I wanted to kind of call that out early. The other part that's kind of, actually, you know what? I'll save that because I am going to get into that part. But again, we're here on 3 in, 3 out. We got a job to do, win, lose, or draw. This time, a bad 30-13 loss versus a hated rivals team. Hey, they cooked us. McVay out-schemed us. We lost. And by the way, I'm in Troy, Michigan. I had to fly into Detroit today. Detroit is fired up. Everywhere I look, every other person's got a Lions hat on. Everywhere I go, every other shop that's got just Detroit, Detroit, Detroit. I'm talking to this guy, Joe, as I'm checking into my hotel in Troy. I'm like, you a football fan? I'm like, yeah. Did you hear the Rodgers news? Happened like 5 minutes before. He's like, I can't believe it. I'm like, who do you like? He's like, I like the Lions. I'm like, oh, of course you do. You live in Detroit. So I'm in the belly of the beast. I'll do some recon. I'll try and do some recon for us. And
you gonna be there all week?
No, I'm actually here. Well, it's like Thursday. I'll be home Thursday morning. So.
Oh my gosh, you're not even going to stay and be one of our representing members of the flock in Detroit?
No, I got to get home and like live life and stuff and do things, right? So I can't just be here all week before I fly out the following week to come see you and Adam in Montana to go to the Carolina game. So no, I couldn't do that both weeks in a row. But I am here podcasting at whatever, almost 11 o'clock Eastern, and I don't care. I love it. All right, let's hit that first whammy. Let's get to this first out. We got to do it.
Before we get to the first out, let's
Fine.
recognize our executive producer, Ryan.
Yes.
Our Ryan 911 with the $9.99 super chat. Ryan always having our back coming in. And thanks for supporting us live. Thanks to everybody who's joined in with us live. And if you want to, just as a reminder, if you want to go to getintheflock.com and help support the show, a lot like Ryan does here on YouTube. Anybody can, whether you want to do it on YouTube via getintheflock.com, it's all good. What do you say we get started?
Okay, now that you did the proper things that I forgot about, yes, let's get started.
That's why I'm here.
I know. Okay, so, we got to start with an out. That's the way it goes. I got my handy notes here, Brandon. Okay, so I always like to give timestamps. If you're going back and watching, I think at some point, if we get to do this show, maybe a next year thing, we start to bring in these highlights in some way. We can figure it out. We'll get there eventually. But until then, let's give the timestamps. It's quarter one. It's about 1:40 to go in the quarter. It's 3-0 Seattle. The Rams got first and goal at the 17-yard line, right? So you're like, okay, first and goal, 17-yard line. Just kind of remembering the series here. There's a penalty, pushes them back. It's 1st and 17. The play on first down, Jordyn Brooks, we'll talk about him a little bit later. Jordyn Brooks comes in. Uchenna sets the edge. Great. He does what he's got to do. Frees up Brooks. Brooks comes flying in. Tackle for a loss. Now it's 2nd and goal from the 18-yard line. And we're up, this is a 3-0 ball game. That's all this is. So next play, it's Stafford in shotgun, 11 personnel. And it's like a quick little RPO. Stafford keeps it and fires a small little 2-yard out to Puka Nacua. Who else? Puka Nacua, right? I called him Cooper Nacua last night. And I think that's pretty witty. So Kobe Bryant, he tries to go for the ball. He kind of tries to undercut it. He misses it. Not a great play, but not the most egregious thing that happens on this play. So Bryant doesn't get it. Nacua, secures it and tries to turn up field. He kind of ducks his head, a little weird. But then the problem, Brandon, and you know what it is, Trey Brown just kind of completely misfires on this tackle. And if you go back and watch, he's in this really weird wide stance. His arms are all like he's about to hug a bear. It's so weird. It's just so unorthodox. And Nacua puts his helmet into his gut and then spins out of it and gets down to the 1-yard line. And then whatever, the next player is a Kyron Williams or Cam. I think it's Kyron. And they get the touchdown 7-3. It's just, we saw some of this in the preseason. And I was the biggest months ago being hey, I think Trey Brown could overtake Mike Jack. And I still think he's the better corner. But we saw missed tackling in the preseason. Now we see it in game one. So instead of 3rd and goal from the 14, it's the 1-yard line. Huge play, huge out. Trey Brown's got to wear it from me. What do you think?
And when you're talking about plays that had they gone a little bit differently, this could be the one. If they're able to make that stop and maybe hold them to a field goal in that situation, at least make them work harder on 3rd down rather than having it down there on the goal line. Yeah, whether you want to give it to Kobe, whether you want to give it to Trey, and both those guys had missed tackles on the day, both of them in terms of their PFF grades graded under 50, which is no, I think I take that back. Kobe graded under 40. Both Michael Jackson and where did Trey Brown? No, Trey Brown was also in the 40s, but Mike Jackson wasn't that much better. So it was a rough day, and it just has you hoping for the 5th overall pick, Devin Witherspoon, to come back any day now. Please come back.
I promise.
Even though we haven't seen you out there on the field, we want you back.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't seen one iota of you except for your tape from Illinois, which we like. And I promised myself I would not say the words Jalen Carter. So let's hit that whammy. Let's get to our first in. What do you say? Okay, so the beauty of 3 in, 3 out, win, lose, or draw is that you get, in a game like this where we get, as Adam would say, a mollywopping, which I love that word. There's some really good here. So we'll go to one right now. So this is Q2, 13:38 to go. It's 7-3 Rams. We got the ball at our own 45-yard line, right? This is a 2nd and 1 play. the play before kind of gives people like a quick recall is a little turnaround to DK where DK does a little hokey doke and he kind of dives forward and gets 9 yards on first down. Nice play. At this point, our offense is looking pretty darn good. Like we're in rhythm, we're humming. Gino looks good. We're running the ball real nice. And the play that precedes this, or the play that comes after this, I should say, is a really neat situation. So it's 12 personnel. You got Gino in shotgun. You got Walker set deep and Lockett motions across Gino's face, right? So coming from basically bottom of the screen towards the top of the screen. The beautiful thing I want to call out, and I hope this dude is healthy, is on this play, Cross doesn't win just once, he wins twice. And he does so, Cross seals, number one, Aaron Donald. So he gets to, so right away, he's sealing Aaron Donald. Then there was Hoyt, who he does, admittedly kind of overcommit. He doesn't set the edge very well,
Right.
but so much so that Cross is able to set the edge with Donald, know that Walker has got plenty of room, and then get enough of a hand on Hoyt to spring Walker free for a 13-yard run. Really beautifully done. Love the concept. It was gorgeous looking. Again, that first quarter and a half, almost a full 2 quarters. We're in pistols. We're in 12. We're in 13. We're using the middle of the field. We're looking dynamic. I love this play, man. I love what Cross did here. To me, I thought he played pretty darn well, of course, until the injury. Want to give Cross the love and hopeful that this Hawkra helps heal that big toe of his. What do you think?
I would like to give Cross some love. I'd like to give a lot of the offensive linemen love because, as you said, through those first almost 2 quarters, the run blocking was working really well, especially when Walker was in there. And I'll probably be hard on some of the other running backs, so I'll be a little bit hard on Walker too, because there were a couple times where he maybe took the wrong hole, where he could have sprung a bigger run. There were a couple times too where blocking they were a little bit too eager to get to the second level, especially Phil Haynes. But had they been a little bit more patient on the offensive line too, I think they could have sprung some other big runs. So in that respect, they did some good things, but they also, you recognize some plays where they still have a little bit of work to do. Overall, yeah, if they could have got Walker going just a little bit more, I think they really could have had a big day. And if they would have gotten up by more points,
yes,
and just crammed it down this Rams defense throat, I think it would have worked a whole lot better.
Yeah, love all the points there. There was one particular Walker play that they did show you like an all 22 review on it, where he kind of just drifts right when it seemed like, oh man, you had a hole to the left-hand side. And usually
I think that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it had a hole to the left-hand side, but it was, I could see just the way that Hoyt could have maybe bounced into the hole a little bit. But yeah, he bounced right when, if he would have been maybe a little bit more patient and gone to the left, I think he could have broke a big one there.
And typically his vision is really good. Like that's one of the things and you could see again with 12 carries, over 50 yards, 5.3 per carry. They weren't all blocked like this. He made some special plays. He's a really, really good back. And I just feel like we've got to get balance where I know we barely ran plays in the second half at all. I realize that. But to your point, if we get those earlier touchdowns so we can get into what we want to do in the third and fourth quarter, I think we win this game. I really do. Because I think Walker would have probably broken one later too, or just had a couple of key first downs later where we start to eat clock and do exactly what the Rams did to us, although through the air. So, all right.
So wait, an in to Charles Cross.
Yes, into Charles Cross.
And maybe a future in to Jason Peters. Please sign Jason Peters. It sounded like he was in for a visit. I think we're going to need him.
41-year-old Jason Peters, who's had 8 or 9 Pro Bowls at this point, right?
I just need him for 6 to 8 games, just until.
You think that long?
When you think of a 300+ pound dude who has a sprained toe, think about all the pressure that goes on your toes throughout the game, trying to not just physically moving on your feet as a big man, but also trying to use leverage to then throw out other big men. I just don't see how a sprained toe, you're going to be able to recover and play it in an impactful way without having 6 weeks of rest on the toe.
He's a big man. I hope that's a big miss on your part, but I'm hope but that's just hope. I hope you're wrong. I hope they could just do the doctor thing where they shoot him up with the drugs and his toe feels nummy numb for a little bit, and then he gets off-season surgery to take care of that big toe. In the meantime, they did bring Peters in. We listen. Forsyth, just little deviation. Forsyth, I think, looked okay. Not going to get too far ahead to the Rams game, but if Lucas is out there, if Lucas is gone and Curran's out there versus Hutchinson, we're in trouble. So getting reinforcements on the line, regardless, I'm okay with that plan. I like it. I like it a lot, Brandan. In fact, all right. So let's whammy it. We got more outs, unfortunately. Okay, we're getting to our second out. Reminder, if you're watching this live on YouTube, youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast, hit the likes, hit the subscribe, tell 12 so we grow the Hawkra because we need it. We need it desperately. And of course, if you're on audio, do those things. Go find it on YouTube because we put out some things on YouTube that sometimes don't hit the audio. It's some shorts and stuff like that. All right, so out. You don't got to go too far down the dial on this one, Brandan. It's the very next play for me.
Ooh.
The very next play. And there's so much to love about this play. So remember, we were just talking earlier, we got a 13-yard from Walker, 13-yard run from Walker. We're driving on the Rams here. It's a good-looking drive. We got this like odd 12 personnel setup going where Geno Smith is flanked far right. DJ Dallas is back as playing quarterback in shotgun. And Charbonnet goes in motion, and folks probably remember the play by now because how many times is DJ Dallas taking a snap from Wildcat
Right.
and not throwing an interception like last year. So this time DJ gets the snap. It's a quick little shovel to a little pitch, to Charbonnet, and then Charbonnet kind of ladders it or hooks it back to Geno, who's coming back around, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the top of the screen, the other dude who was next to Geno is, of course, the Bobro. It's Jake Bobo. And you could already see on screen, and you could hear Mark Sanchez start to yell, he's got Bobo. Bobo is wide open. Now, I've seen people be like, oh, Geno missed Bobo. No, Geno didn't miss anything. Geno needed a half a second more to step into a throw to uncork something that's going to be, back of the end zone touchdown to Bobo. This is like pitch and catch 6 that is taken away. The reason it's taken away is that DJ Dallas fails to do the second part of the job straight up. And there's things DJ did that was really good this game. However, right here, Byron Young, Tennessee linebacker, wears number 0. He's a rookie for the Rams, pretty good player. He kind of just destroys DJ. DJ tries to engage him, doesn't do nearly good enough a job. He sheds him way too quickly, and he puts just enough fear in Geno's head that he can't step up and kind of plant that front foot and take the shot he wants to take. He takes it around the bend. He ends up with a short rush for 6 yards. DJ Dallas cost us a Bobo touchdown and momentum. We score on that drive anyway, Brandan, but DJ's got it. He knows that play, that you practice that play. You know there's going to be a defensive end or linebacker coming free, and your job is to make sure your quarterback has just enough time. He failed to do it. He's got to wear the out.
With the excitement you saw from the Seahawks and plays to Jake Bobo in the preseason, could you imagine how much a Bobo touchdown or even just a big Bobo play in this game fires up this team? He had some really nice plays where blocking, he had some, he opened up some space for Kenneth Walker around the right side, which was nice. But it's, man, when I think of things and what if, and happy birthday to Phil, who is in the chat, our what if protector. When I think of what could have been with a Jake Bobo touchdown, just the momentum shift, the emotion, I think it could have changed this game significantly.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that he's kind of captured some hearts and spirits and minds, and again, that's an easy pitch and catch for 6 with a play. I love the timing of it, right? We're driving. We're still kind of near midfield-ish. It's first down. We just had a big 13-yard run.
We just had a penalty on Geno that got wiped out by a Phil Haynes penalty. and you're kind of
Oh, that's right. That's right. The
you know,
big
you're
shot to the
still,
head.
you want
Yeah.
to give the fu back to Aaron Donald
Yeah. Because
for
that was
taking a shot at Geno.
that's right. That was pretty dirty there too. So it was a miss. It was just a miss. DJ's got to wear it. We'll talk a bit more about DJ, I think, a little later today. But in that particular instance, it's an out. It would have been electric. And again, it's these little things. If one or two of these go the right way early, I'm telling you, we win this ball game. It's not Pollyanna viewpoint to understand or think that if we're up by 13 or we really start to put that kind of pressure on these Rams, it's just a different ball game. And yeah, we'll talk more about it. All right, let's get back to another end. What do you say?
I'm ready because it's roses from here on out. It's more positive than negative as we get into the second half.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. Let's do it. Not all roses, but it's roses. I like how I like it. It's mostly roses, right? 66% roses. All right, so here's a rose. Quarter 2, 7:15 to go. It's 10-7 Seattle. This is on. We're just talking DJ. We're going back to back. But this is the back to back. We're serpentining. This is a 4th and 16 punt. The Rams are punting, kind of in their zone a bit. I just railed on DJ for a couple minutes about having to make a hard, but having to make the play to free up his dude and can't do it. All right. A little bit later or wherever it was, back in time in this game, DJ Dallas is at his own 25-yard line, a punt that's kind of angling to the sidelines, runs up. I love this, Brandon, because he doesn't let it bounce, because we've seen that a lot where that ball bounces and it goes 17 more yards and we just give up a huge delta there. Doesn't let it bounce. Realize he's got enough time that this is not a fair catch. Has to make a pretty hard catch there, because like when you watch that play live, like, ooh, he's kind of angling and he's catching it right on his shoulder pad. But he does that. He does it well. And then the one thing I really like about DJ Dallas, whether he is running the ball, receiving the ball out of the backfield, or getting a kickoff or getting a punt return, is that he will go north or south. He would go north and south as quickly as he can to get as much as he can on any given play that he is on the field for. That is something. That it's not nothing. In this particular play, takes the ball back to the 49-yard line. It's a great read. It's well executed. And again, if he lets that bounce, it's probably a delta of like 30-something, 35 yards in a tight ball game. So giving DJ the flowers at this point, awesome on special teams, and I think he deserves to be talked about a bit.
Yeah, not only was it a great catch, but then he had to make a guy miss.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that guy, if he lets it bounce, then yeah, the ball's probably rolling 10 yards down the field, and who knows what happens. Instead, it's an 18-yard punt return. They have the ball at midfield, and you're thinking, okay, here we go. We're up 13-7, get some more points here now that we have the great field position, and here we go. Let's get this Rams team put away before the half.
Yeah, we had several of those moments, right? So we had that, and then of course we had the field goal block later, where we had another chance late to me it wasn't the field goal. To me it was the timidity. That's the part of the game. This is not DJ Dallas's fault that he's out there, but at one point in that drive after the blocked field goal, DJ Dallas was the target or the running back 4 plays in a row, and it's just like a little bit like, okay, he got a swing pass out of the backfield, gets a first down. He gets a first down run for 5 yards. I could look at the TV and be like, I think the dude's visibly gassed. Like I actually tweeted, I was like, he's tired. He just took a big hit. They run the ball again on second down to no luck. And then he's the outlet guy on third down, and Geno gets pressured and he dumps it at his feet. And then Myers misses the field goal. So it was just, I don't want to go to negative town on it. It's just, it was.
I do want to go to negative town because
it
was the point in the game that I felt like the momentum entirely shifted.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was because Geno hits Will, then Walker runs for 15, Walker runs for 5, and they get down inside the 25.
Right.
And then they take Walker out. It's like, why do we take this dude out inside the 25 almost every time?
So man, That Brandon, that is the exact point of like, and then it's the DJ Dallas show, which again I could compliment him going north and south, but
Charbonnet came in the next play
right, okay, and then
and
and
on
then
this
DJ,
drive.
right?
Yeah, I
Yes.
think it was a different drive where
Oh,
you
okay, my
remember the
bad.
back to back. But
Regardless,
yeah,
to your point though, is like we're taking our most special player out in these. It's like a faux pitch count. Like it's this thing that is like saturated the the mentality, the mindset. It's like, oh, at 100 pitches, your pitcher can no longer keep. God forbid he throws 101st pitch. Like it's impossible. It's like why? Why? Like, is Kenneth Walker once we get within the red zone? Does he turn to dust? Is what happened? Does he not have feet, or his feet made of bologna sandwiches from the 20 in? I like big floppy bologna sandwiches. I don't think so. I think he's still Kenneth Walker, and he's the most skilled back we have. So yeah, Brandon, I'm glad you went to. I'm gonna call it Negative Town. Just like tell the truth
I was
Monday
just
that we're doing together.
I was trying to rationalize it in the moment when he goes back to back plays, moving 20 yards. And I was thinking, yeah, okay, maybe you're trying to save him for the second half, but you're getting toward the end of the first half anyway. I was
Right?
trying to figure out what the mentality on it might be. And yeah, I can't make sense of it
No.
and it turns out you weren't saving him for anything because you couldn't get anything going in the second half. If you would have kept running the ball here, and then maybe the Rams don't get one more possession before the end of the half. I don't think it ended up mattering, but they did have an opportunity for another 56-yard field goal. So they could have scored points.
Right.
And yeah, instead, yeah, maybe you keep Walker out there, you drive down the clock a little bit more, you get closer to the goal line. And instead of kicking a 39-yard field goal that Myers misses, maybe it's closer. Maybe you're scoring touchdowns instead.
Yeah, could be a chip shot, or you're actually punching in for 6. So with you 1,000%. I did see that Jeremy Green dropped us a super chat as well. I'm not sure if that was on the screen just yet, but I do want to recognize Jeremy for the $4.99 there. And he said, "What I said is up there." Did you already put that on screen? Did I miss that?
In seeing Bobby back out there, out seeing Bobby dropping back into coverage so much.
Well, like that. It's a good just to digress on that a little bit. It's a great point by Jeremy, and thank you for the donation. That's awesome. Yeah, like Bush and Brooks were, in my opinion, clearly the better linebackers to drop back into coverage. Bobby with the 19 tackles. I don't glorify nor do I celebrate a linebacker getting 19 tackles. Bobby and the whole team was damn good against the run. Like we were really, really good against the run.
When they run it 40 times and your linebacker gets 14 tackles, then yeah, you can glorify that.
Well, 19 tackles, I think, right? Isn't that
I think it was 14 solo
14
and
solo,
5.
yeah. And Brooks had 12. And listen, I thought he played a very solid game as a run stopping linebacker, and then some. He blitzed a little bit effectively. We'll talk about that in a second. But also, like what he did for Brooks is gigantic. Like Brooks was way better with Bobby back out there, and that's cool. Bobby in coverage at this stage, it ain't great. It's not great. So we got to figure what we're going to do when we put the dime out there. And if it's the dime package, should it be Bobby or should it be Bush or Brooks? And I think the argument can easily be made that put the younger, faster dudes out there when you're in dime coverage. But a lot of time to figure that out, I think, as the year rolls on. So, all right, what do you say we get to our last out? Because this one's a real stinker.
I can smell it coming.
Oh, I saved I saved the worst for last. Sometimes I'll just be like, oh, it's not a particular play and it's not a particular player. It's just, this is one of those, right? I'm just going to come out and say that, like, look, I want folks to go rewatch Q3 at the 1 minute mark, right? And this is emblematic of where this out's going for me. My out is going to Clint Hurt. And the reason is, I got some reasons here. But, I heard that we had the Rams in an average of 3rd and 8. And of course they had a, tremendous conversion rate. Now, remember, one of those 3rd and 8s was like a 3rd and 30, right? So in the averages, okay. But that means the real average was somewhere probably between 5.5 or 6. If you take that one out of the equation, which we probably should, 3rd and 30s kind of just don't count. With that, these are not 3rd and 1s. They're not 3rd and 2s. Besides us being as vanilla as we could be, besides like not deciding not to blitz and still getting burnt, like just sliced by Stafford, the other piece of the equation for me, the reason I'm really just not okay with this is at Q3 at the 1 minute mark, something happens in that play. And this is the play where Bobby ends up getting outrun by Stafford. I'm not even calling Bobby out for that. Like he's a little older and Stafford makes a juke move and that's fine. I'll get to it. Miles Adams played 2 snaps. 2 snaps. This is one of them. This is one of them. And that we get pressure on Stafford, lo and behold, on one of the third downs or whatever down it was. This is one of his 2 snaps. I don't understand how in the world, just to give some stats here, Morris got 26 snaps.
Sure.
Mario got 24 snaps and Adams gets 2 snaps. He is a disruptive pass rusher. He's actually pretty good against the run. He is a good pass rusher. We had them in 35, 36, 37, 3rd and 11, and we don't use one of our better weapons. I don't get it. And I think the dude deserves more time, not because he did an interview with us, but because whenever the hell he's out there, Brandon, he does good things. Clint Hurt gets a big out for me. This is part of it, but way too vanilla and not using our best personnel, in my opinion.
I will agree with you that Clint Hurt deserves an out. I don't know if I can go there based off of snap counts for Miles Adams. I don't think it makes a difference. I think that there's a lot of other things this defense could have done to make more of a difference. And if this is the way, because the problem is we keep seeing the same issues, whether it's and it's primarily in the passing game. I feel like if we're going to give an out to Hurt, we should also give him an in just based off of the run defense, because it does seem like that part of it got fixed. But just as far, the guys were playing so far off when they were in zone and breaking to, you would see Stafford go back to throw and the guys were breaking toward the guy who he was targeting way too late. And whether or not that's a coaching thing of just playing off and trying to be safe, it just seemed every time it was that they were in zone, they were just getting there too late to make any significant play on the ball. And that was more of a problem than I think having Adams out there.
Well, the piece for me, though, that is the connective tissue is because we were not getting home and we were not causing Stafford to get off his spot at all. So then your people are like wringing their hands over Julian Love. I'm not saying he played a good game or bad game. I'm just saying, to what you just said, they're playing a certain scheme and he's got to go break on a ball at a nearly impossible position. He's getting there almost as the ball arrives and making a short tackle, but he's not there for a PBU because there's no disruption whatsoever. And we talked about this yesterday, Adam and I. Tipped the cap to Stafford. Stafford
heck of a game.
He threw some balls in place that are like, holy crap, that's elite level quarterbacking, and you tip your cap. But the piece for me that I will definitely contend is that we saw in the preseason, we saw stunts, we saw 6-7 man fronts where you brought 2-3 linebackers and kind of try to confuse and then drop back whomever into coverage. We saw none of that. None of that. We saw dime every now and again, but we saw nothing exotic. Certainly nothing erotic. I'll tell you that right now, Brandon. And
maybe that was part of the plan going into this game. I guess if you're going,
that's a bad plan, though, dude. That's my point. That's a bad plan.
If you're going into this game saying, can this defense shut down the run before we start the run? We've always heard from Pete Carroll, you have to earn the right to rush the passer. So were they doing that? Were they making sure that these guys can effectively stop the run before they start to unleash a pass rush? That's the only thing I can think that makes any sense then as to why they wouldn't try and put more pressure on Stafford, because I didn't think that the offensive line was particularly one that we had to worry about. So maybe even the Seahawks underrated him a little bit. In that case, again, it goes to coaching. I think that coaching was probably a big part of the issues that we saw just in both defensively, I think that's what it boils down to in this game.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's a good place to land that last out. The quote unquote good news is when we don't win, then we end with an in, and this is a great one. So let's hit that whammy so we get something to celebrate. All right, we got one more in. I like this one. Okay, Q2, 9:16 to go, 10-7 Seahawks. The Rams are at Seattle. The Rams are at Seattle. No, I'm at the wrong. Yeah, that's it. Rams are at Seattle 30, 1st and 10. Either way, I think that might be their own 30, but I might have that wrong. That's okay. Rams are trips left. Oh, no, sorry. The Rams are at their own 30-yard line. I
Right.
apologize. So to get this right, this is after the DK touchdown, and then there's a 5-yard offsides penalty that moves the ball to the 30, just so folks could kind of square up with that. 1st and 10. So first play from scrimmage after the DK touchdown. Rams are trips left, and Stafford's under center, which is kind of cool, kind of old school golf style stuff that they would do with Gurley back in the day. And they got Puka coming in motion, so coming towards the screen, coming down to the bottom. And this is a really nice concept, a really nice drawn out play. The beauty, and I'm not giving too many more kudos to the Rams in this play. The beauty
Yeah,
of this
no,
play is
that
let's
lay
stop
off.
right there, right? Yeah, but the
This is
beauty
an
of
in for our team.
this exactly the beauty of this play and the love goes to Jordyn Brooks in this play. So I want folks to go rewatch this if they have the ability. Q2, 9:16 to go in the like I said, second quarter. So Brooks, first of all, he has to first read run because Stafford's under center and then there's a guy back there. So he first has to step up and read run. Then he's got to see that I think it's Higbee. I'm pretty sure it's Higbee. Higbee's coming off the line and he's starting to kind of go down the seam. So he's starting to engage Higbee and a couple of strides into him now, almost like full sprinting, like from 0 to full sprint. He swivels his head back around and takes a peek upfield, and he can see that Tutu Atwell is about to release completely free, crossing the hashes from the left side. So Nakua cleared things out, and he's about to scream across the hashes and probably go for 6, or at least a deep shot that he ends up out of bounds for like 30, 40 yards. So the play goes off screen and we don't see it till later. And Stafford takes a deep shot downfield. And when the camera catches back up, Brooks is not only stride for stride with Atwell, but then he's like diving for the ball. It's not a PBU because it's like off the fingertips, but
Right.
an unbelievable coverage, man. Like the quickness, the injury, that fact that he's so back and he looks so good. This athleticism, this was insane, Brandon. This was elite level linebacking coverage, 30 yards downfield against a burner. And the recognition of like first the run, then I got to go cover a tight end. Oh boy, I better check behind me. Nope, I got this guy crossing over here. And then he catches up with him. It was insane. I just wanted to give all the love I could to Brooks in this play and say like that matters going forward. And it fired me up, man.
If you would have shown me that play after his injury
Right.
and told me this is the Jordyn Brooks that you'll have week 1 of the 2023 season,
Insane.
I would not have believed it. I wouldn't have believed that he'd have 10 plus tackles in a game against the Rams. I wouldn't have believed that he'd had multiple stops in the game. So yeah, this is a very worthy in for Jordyn Brooks, not only making it back from injury, but then being able to start and being able to cover. Yeah, because it's not some slow tight end who's running down the field. It's Tutu Atwell who lit up the secondary for 100 plus yards on the day, and he was running stride for stride with him down the field.
Yeah, this was in a couple of weeks ago in one of the last preseason shows we did. I was like, wait, our plan is to just play Brooks like game 1 with no practice. I was like, you need to show me. And I'll shut up now. Like that's how good he played and how fast he looked. So yeah, we have Mr. Phil chiming in on YouTube screen here. Brooks was the player of the game from his rewatch. I agree, Phil. I thought Nuosu played a nice game on the edge. I thought Mafe played a nice game on the edge. Obviously, we had our challenges getting home. Jaron Reed played a nice game. He caused some challenges and some havoc. We had some other issues with
blocked a field goal.
Yeah, that was a great block, and Tariq almost blocked it, and Jaron Reed did block it. Great presence, and Reed had a real nice game. So there is stuff to carry forward, but we got to get right pretty quickly. That's the challenge. Like Detroit, Like you made a nice comment. I think it was in the Discord, which we'll get to the Discord in a second to go through the from the flock. But you made a comment about like as long as our receivers can catch, you're not too worried about Detroit because between Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore and other Kansas City receivers who just could not catch the ball,
Yeah.
the Lions squeaked out a win. Now, great win against Super Bowl champions on the road to kick the year off. I get it. With all that, yeah, like if we could just let's watch what they did, and I think we could turn this thing around in 6 days time and have a completely different vibe come next Sunday night. I'm confident we can, but boy, do we have to clean some things up, and we gotta put some pressure on Goff because Goff could do what Stafford did for the most part in this game, for the most part. But if we could get a little pressure on Goff, he's also more susceptible, I think, to just throwing that wild interception that we could change the game on. So it'll be interesting to check out.
Yeah, and like Holy Hand Grenade was saying earlier in the chat, after this game that we just went over, do we want to reevaluate our season? I don't think that there's anything that other than injuries to the tackles, and I'm worried about Charles Cross, and I think we're going to need a left tackle to get us through a few weeks. So yes, please sign Jason Peters. I'll go right back to that again. Other than that, I think that there's issues that I see positives about, and I see things that can improve. So I don't come out of that game thinking, we're in the running for Caleb Williams in the first overall pick. I'm thinking that we got beat by the stupid Rams once again, a team that we shouldn't. It should never be close in some instances, and somehow, well, because of coaching, it ends up being close, and that's why McVay has Pete Carroll's number.
He does. McVay absolutely has his number. It's been 6 years of McVay, and I heard a stat today from the Man to Man podcast that like he's they're outscoring the Seahawks by like a lot. It's like 80 something points over the 6 years. So
yeah. So if I do want to reevaluate the season, going back to that, I would maybe evaluate our next game against the Rams as potentially being a loss too.
Yeah, well, that's bad news because that's the part that is scary about reevaluating the season because this schedule, it ain't easy. Now, here's the thing also. We play the Bengals. They scored 3 points against a Browns team who we play. The Browns have a
legit... The Bengals are in the running for Caleb Williams.
Yeah, as are the Giants after a 40-0 loss, right? To the Cowboys, who we also play. And also we just watched the Bills for folks that are watching it live. The Bills just lost to the Jets, who lost Aaron Rodgers after 4 plays tonight. So week 1 is weird, right? So hopefully that's the collective breath we can take. However, we got to get right, and we got to get right pretty darn quick. So, but Brandon, where's a place we can go to get right? Where a place where everybody knows our name?
We can go to our Discord. We can go to our members of the flock.
Yes.
We can go to our live members here in chat, and we can hear some ins and outs.
Yes, that is exactly it. All right, I'll start in the Discord. We got Car. She said, not even waiting for the game to start. In for Bobby Wagner, looking so good in that Hawks uniform yet again. And I got Bobby right behind me here. I got to give Bobby the love. I was a little skeptical coming into the season. I'm all in. Bobby's great. And yeah, we got some coverage challenges, but Bobby's Bobby. Love it.
Oh man, the being in the stadium for when Bobby Wagner was introduced last coming out of the tunnel, as much as it stunk being there for the loss, being there for that moment and all of the 12s going nuts for him as he came out of the tunnel to start the season, that made the trip worth it.
Nice. Very, very good. Love it. Love it.
Phil Leidick with the in saying we weren't really missing tackles out. We kept letting them catch it first. Yeah. Get there a little sooner.
Yep. A little sooner. And again, I'll say the recipe for that is a little pressure on the quarterback. So he has to pull the trigger a little sooner is really what it would be all about, or hold it, a smidgen longer because he's got to get off his spot. All right. We're going to go back to the Discord. We got Frost. He gave out to seeing DJ Dallas back to return the opening kickoff. I understand the sentiment from the get-go. And we talked about why actually DJ did a nice job. He's not going to be the dude to take a 98-yarder to the house. That's not what DJ is going to do. but he does go north and south quite nicely.
He does. Yep. Got MG out here live on YouTube. I wanted to save that one. We're saving that one. Cut this part out of the regular show. We're going to Jeremy in the YouTube chat with the in. Sounds like we get to see Witherspoon in week 2. And oh man,
I hope so. I know Pete was talking about that today. That'll be really big. It will be interesting to then. So is it Witherspoon just back at the outside corner position? Is this Witherspoon right to slot duties?
Can I just tell you, I don't care. As long as it means that Kobe Bryant is playing fewer snaps.
Yeah, well, I understand that part. I do want to know who's playing slot. Is that Artie Burns? I always thought.
No, I think Witherspoon moves into slot. Okay. On any nickel packages and likely plays outside in those instances. I don't think you would take. I would tend to think you leave Witherspoon and Reek on the field together.
I agree. I think that's likely what we'll see. I'll predict this now because sometimes I've got the Mama Cleo, glass balls and all, and I predict that by this time next year, I can't believe I just said that Trey Brown is our nickel. He's our slot corner. I think he's most his size. He's the most like Justin Coleman like to me. I think he's sticky. I think he is destined to be our slot corner. Maybe we see that this year. All right.
If that's the case, okay. Yeah. What, since you went there though, if that's the case, why did we not see him move into the slot when Mike Jackson came out and was playing outside?
Yeah, I just don't think they're there yet. It's the progression of, Kobe. Well, we take a Cincinnati Bearcat who was opposite sauce and you're going to start in slot. And then, you're going to move to safety. I don't know why yet, but I'm just predicting that is the eventuality that we will see. Not even this year, potentially. So just put that one in the time capsule. And when it's Witherspoon, Tariq, and Trey Brown as our slot corner next year to start the season, we could look back on this and say Mama Cleo's crystal balls were spot on. All right. Yeah, I got B-Wags biceps in the Discord. This is so true. Out screen game as poor as ever. Brandon, we still can't screen.
No, we can't. And I want to be able to. One of the things that bugged me the most about the second half was all of the shots to the perimeter, not attacking the middle of the field and just going for these little 2 and 3 yard out routes. And I don't know if it was just trying to stretch the defense so they could try and open it up on the interior with runs because they didn't have that much success running inside early. Although I thought it was enough success that you could just keep doing it. But it just, 2 and 3 yards at a time going outside the hashes, it wasn't working for me.
Well, to that point, to drill into that for a little bit too, is like, again, in the first quarter and the second quarter, what do we see? We saw 13 personnel, 12 personnel. We saw Colby Parkinson. We saw Uncle Will. We saw, a quick turnaround to DK Metcalf. We saw a crosser to JSN. Where have all the good times gone, Brandon? Like, why in the world it literally went to Russ ball. And this is not like, Russ stinks. Russ had amazing years with us working the outside perimeter when he was in his prime. And all of a sudden we're back into Russ-like shots on 3rd and 4, 35 yards downfield. It's like, wait a second, what's up with the middle of the field? And Sanchez was calling for it. You talked about it. You were chiming in, commenting yesterday when Adam and I did the reaction. It just was like we abandoned what was working. It's always very confusing when, something works so well, you stop doing it.
Jeremy Green has a comment for you there, Clinton. Try not to do a spit take, but Washington Fish Quest with the $2 donation in At Least We Survived.
What does that mean? So yes, we are living and breathing.
Fans, we survived this game.
Okay, good. Yes, we
did.
It
is on Monday. It's like, Kyle Shanahan, you never know if you're going to be around come Monday. We did it. We made it.
And We are alive and kicking. I love to give Washington Fish Quest some love for those that are like outdoors types. For those that certainly fishing, love fishing. He has a really cool YouTube channel, same name, Washington Fish Quest. Go check it out. It's quite enjoy. I'm not a fisherman. I'm not an outdoors person, an outdoorsman. But I'll watch the content. It's enjoyable. So he does a good job with it. I'm sure folks that are into fishing and such would really like it. So all right, I'm going back to the Discord. I got Design Pete's Beach House, which is of course Amy. We saw a couple of people, including Frost, scream Bobo blocking. So Bobo had a couple of nice things out there. You called it out earlier. To your point, Brandon, the place would have erupted if that flea flicker thing would have went for 6.
Chris Boucher, aka Bobby Boucher on the Discord. The new wrinkles get the in for the offense. Love seeing the 2 tight end sets out of shotgun with both tight ends in the backfield. Great way to get Kenneth Walker in motion with 2 lead blockers. We saw it a couple times, and I would like to see, after what I saw against the Rams, I would like to see us running the ball more, because I think this team is built for it. And I think it's a way to have some big games and open up the passing game a bit more.
Yes, a little bit more of traditional people, and I'd be into that a lot as well. So, all right, perfect. I'm going to skip a few because we got some folks that they were there a couple times. Oh, Witherfork also with the Bobos blocking, and oh, by the way, I heard lots of folks complaining about, how do you say DAZN across the.
I don't know if you say DAZN or if it's just the acronym DAZN, but yeah, DAZN getting the out for all of our folks overseas who had to fight through the broadcast and being able to watch it.
Yeah, I heard it wasn't pleasant, so I get that. We did have Right Hand Dan, the Discord. He says, in or out, I can't decide. Pete Carroll has one of those stupid get back people to stop him from going on the field. The guy had to grab him by the waist and hold him closely, Tiny Dancer, and hold him back from getting a little too fired up, which was comical.
We got Salad Fork Spear in the announcer for this gem. Jordyn Brooks, you can't say enough about the guy. Yes. Then follows up with 5 seconds of dead air as he proceeds to say nothing about the guy, only to follow up with an awkward chuckle when the new angle was played. It should probably get an out, but it also made me laugh way too hard to not give him some props.
Also, speaking of laughing, potentially inappropriately in the Discord with the great name, I Touch My Bobo, goes with the outs, the entire Seahawks performance in the third quarter. I Touch My Bobo is 100% accurate with everything that he or she said.
See, we got Right Hand Dan, small in 3/4 of football and only 1 penalty for 5 yards. Admittedly, we haven't been close enough in coverage to give up PI.
Yes, that's
also a small out.
Yes, not great. We had Dolphin in the Discord also with an in. Seahawks didn't have 4,000 yards in penalties. So Brandon, that's something Pete Carroll said today in his press conference. He saw things he could build on. So there's one.
Antro Wirehawks in. The weather was nice. Out the game. There you go.
Nice day for a barbecue. Hellish day for. I mean, it just kept piling up. Right. Lockett goes to the tent. Maffe's in the tent. Nwosu's limping. Our 2 tackles are out. It's like, oh, Madone. It was tough. So with all that, I think Flocktimus really Flocktimus Prime. Keith Ketover in the Discord. We lose. Out. Embarrassingly badly. Out. To the Rams, out, with half our line hurt, out, and our players losing their stuff, like DK and others, and Quandre, out. The worst possible game. Feels like the whole season is now in jeopardy. Out. So Flocktimus, I hope this therapy session was at least fairly good for you. Let's keep the Hawker positive. We can bounce back in 6 days' time. Yes, we can.
Got to shout out Car, who is tuning in live, giving the end to Lockett for the first catch of the game. I know that had to make you happy, and I'm glad that he wasn't hurt significantly. He had to go out and get checked for a concussion, but he was back into the game. And I know Car also doesn't partake in the betting show, although I know she tunes in. But I would have had to have thought that she would have given that prop of the first catch to Tyler, and so just the getting the win in her heart.
I love it. I love it. I love that she does tune into PNW Prop Stars, although she, like you said, doesn't partake in the actual gambling, but just comes along for the ride and the analysis, which I think is great. Mr. Phil on the screen here says Brandon got his desired outcome of scoring. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Brandon got his desire of the Hawks scoring on the first 3 drives. Yeah, that's nice. So
Sounds
that
like
was
something I should win on our what if show for.
yeah, I think we all lost on this what if show, but you did get that desired thing to happen. Unfortunately, 2 out of 3 touchdowns would have been a lot better versus 1 out of 3. All right, I got one more because I gotta hit the hay. This one last one's from Hawk Van Dyke. Of course, that's Bloomy in the Discord. He says in. He goes, nah, just kidding, out.
We all felt it. We all felt it. And we're all feeling MG2 closing us out here with the out, needing to wait 6 more days for redemption. And we want it.
Yes.
We want the redemption against the Lions. They're flying high after their win against the Chiefs. We want to go into Detroit and make them feel like we're feeling after facing the Rams.
I'm feeling it. You're feeling it. And I think with that,
There's only one thing left to say.
go Hawks.
Go Hawks.